Hey guys, Jay Norton here once again, and I'm going to talk about some pretty seriously, dangerous and weird scams in Japan a little bit later, so I hope you stick around for that. But I just want to talk a little bit about being on YouTube in 2025 and being on YouTube. So I've tried to expand my social media presence. I'm on YouTube, as you can see. I've tried using TikTok in English and Japanese. I'm using Xiaohongshu, the Red Note Chinese app. I've just started posting on Instagram, Substack, Note, and all of those kind of things because as I want to build a business here in Japan, I think having a social media presence will be essential, especially if the business is revolving around me as a personality, if that makes sense. So I want to try and get myself out there, see how everything works. The interesting thing is, what are the most viewed things at the moment are the shorts that I upload here on YouTube. So I'll upload kind of similar things, YouTube and TikTok, and the YouTube views are way more. So I guess I need to figure out all these different kind of algorithms. However, what I wanted to talk about today is about some news about scams in Japan and how rampant they kind of are. Although scams are a big problem everywhere, I still follow This Morning, Good Morning Britain in the UK, and they often have people on there who have been scammed. However, in Japan, there are a lot of people to take advantage, especially of old people who don't understand technology and come from a time that maybe was a bit more trusting than we are nowadays. I feel like maybe people in their 20s and 30s are very difficult to manipulate on the internet. However, AI videos are probably going to be what the next scams is all about. Sorry, my grammar and stuff is all over the place today. I just ate a pie. I don't know if that's relevant. There was a news article this week or maybe last week about a quite a unique scam that had happened here in Japan, and it has led to the man who was scammed to be made fun of online. And basically, this man who's in his 40s, so not necessarily out of touch, 40 years old must mean, smartphones would have been around in his early 20s and laptops, the internet. He should be used to all that kind of stuff. However, this man was called by his bank, well, what he thought was his bank, and told that there had been a 40 million yen or so deposit into his bank account by mistake, and then that 40 million yen had been withdrawn again. So his account had kind of been flagged as some maybe fraudulent or criminal activity going on, which of course makes him, feel a bit worried, as that actually might trigger you a little bit. However, if you've received this kind of stuff in a phone call, why would they call you and just explain this over the phone? However, they then told him that they needed to verify whether the money in his account was legit legal tender, not fake money or money used in a crime. And this is where it kind of gets a bit silly. And this is why we have to be, one, very careful of scams. But I feel like, I'll go into it a little bit later, but we kind of always just feel sorry for the people who have been scammed and been we shouldn't make fun of them and we shouldn't blame them. I think it's okay to blame them, especially in a case like this, because what they told him was that he has to withdraw the bills, the cash notes from his bank account and send those notes to an account that the people on the phone are telling him. And they're going to check the serial numbers and verify the legitimacy of those notes and then send the money back. That should have triggered a lot of red flags and is part of the reason that he's been made fun of, because what that scam makes you believe is that the money that you withdraw from your account is actually your money, the money that's in your account, as if no matter what bank account you withdraw your money from, those notes are being moved around. It's so weird. And then he believed that the money that he was sending was then going to be the money that the person received, the same notes, which will then be sent back. And he believed it. And I believe the amount that he sent them was around 20 million yen. So we're talking 150-ish thousand dollars, maybe just a little bit less than that. But imagine withdrawing that much money and sending it to somebody else without ever questioning it, like never walking into the branch and being like, just so you know, I've had this phone call and I just want to check if it's okay, because if it really was from a bank or from a legal agency, the branch would know about it. So it's like when you hear these stories about scams from grandparents who get called and say, "This is your grandson, I've broke my leg and I need some money, can you please send it quick?" Like the grandparent just doesn't check with other family members to see if everything is as it seems. It's very odd that people don't take the time to check this stuff. And I guess that's what the scammers are relying on, that people will just believe. And Japan is a very honest and trusting society, so it's very unfortunate that people do take advantage of that stuff. Nowadays, you're seeing a lot more stories about how people are being tricked by celebrities who are claiming to be in love with somebody but need them to help pay their hospital bills. Like, I think one of them was about Brad Pitt. And it's like, if you really knew anything about Brad Pitt, he's not going to need your money in particular. He has a lot of money on his own. So he had lost 20 million yen. And the reason that he's being made fun of online, as you can imagine, is how has this guy amassed $150,000 in a bank account, yet doesn't question how bank transfers work? Like, he doesn't question how bank transfers work. Like, how can so many people be struggling to pay rent and pay their bills, yet somebody has amassed that much money? So if he's a single guy in his 40s, he probably can just use that money in investments and never work again. How can he get that much money yet be so stupid? And these kind of scams are becoming so rampant in Japan, because obviously as technology gets better, AI gets better, replicating voices get better, it's becoming a bigger and bigger problem. Now, as foreigners in Japan, we're probably safe for now, unless they start devising scams, and I don't want to give people ideas, people pretending to be immigration, which does happen. I've had a few phone calls where I've answered the phone and it's clearly a Chinese person. And when I've asked other Chinese people, because I've recorded the call, they said, oh, they're pretending to be from immigration, saying that you need to pay some visa fees. So there are going to be more scams targeted at foreign people in the future. So you've always got to be aware of stuff like this. Something can and probably will happen to you in the future. You've just got to make sure that you avoid it. Recently, I feel like I'm getting tons of meiwaku phone calls, like just scam phone calls, nuisance phone calls. Because for the first 10, 11 years I lived in Japan, I felt like I didn't get any. But now in these past, especially this past year, 18 months, I feel like it's at least once a week where I get a call. And it's very weird because I have unknown numbers. Unknown numbers are blocked on my phone. However, a weird thing is when I'm driving my car and my phone is connected to the system, somehow those calls still somehow get through. So sometimes I'll just get a phone call while I'm driving, and then I'll just obviously just not answer it. Always be vigilant about what you're doing. It's interesting because now if you go to the post office, at least Yucho, which has its own bank account, they have lots of signs that say, like, if you're over 65 years old and you try withdrawing more than 1 million yen, an alarm will go off. So they're obviously trying to catch people. The gift card scams, I'll never understand. I think those are going to start dying out because not only do I feel like the scammer is bad, the person who falls for it should be more aware. why a shop will sell thousands of dollars worth of gift cards to one single person without, especially to like an old lady, like that means that the store is taking more interest in its profit and income than training its staff to be aware that an old lady is trying to buy like $8,000 worth of Apple gift cards. I thought that was just a funny story about a scam that's happened in Japan. Always be aware, always be vigilant, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.